Hey, man, what's going on?
Hey, man.
We're back.
We're back. Down to the wire.
Down to the wire. We're recording this the day before. We're supposed to post a new episode.
That means I have to edit it.
Yeah?
Well, okay. It means we have to re-record it because inevitably I'm going to mess something up in the computer.
Oh, my God.
And then fix the video. It'll be fine.
It'll
be
We
fine.
look terrific. We were sporting brand new Mythos Pedals t-shirts. Trying to
Show
do some
the fine
slanging.
people.
Trying to do some slanging. I have the maroon logo t-shirt on. What do you have on?
And I have on the black 80s vibes.
Wow.
shirt. It looks like the intro to like a school video.
Makes me want to go to the arcade
Yeah.
and get a hot dog on a stick.
You hear something go pew, and then you see this like pop up on the screen.
And that's terrific. And, you know,
Makes me happy.
I have a classic maroon, classic
Easy.
logo. Looks
Safe.
nice. Makes me look slimming and buff, which
you look
is
so
very
buff right now.
important because now I don't have to, try to get fit.
When people come to when people come to see me and meet us,
yeah.
they'll go, "Oh man, look how
Matthew's
buff you
fatter
are."
in person than I remember. I haven't made a Matthew fat reference for a while. So.
It's been a few episodes.
So I deserve to get one in there.
One time, Jeremy, the guitar hunter, came. He came by the Novo shop.
He did,
just to visit with me and see you guys too. But he said, "You're taller than I thought," and I was like, "Wow, I feel really good."
I got
right
that.
now.
I got that once before too. People were like, "You're really tall."
Yeah.
I'm only 5'12". I didn't really think it was that big of a deal
You're above average.
in every way.
Hey,
Hey, all
So,
right, okay.
what are we doing today, Matthew?
Okay, so I had this thought, and we are not immune.
Whoa.
I had a thought.
You had a thought.
Yes, dangerous when Matthew Timmons has a thought. But I had a thought because so much gear comes out all the time, right?
So much gear today.
So much gear. Today, the new Ross pedals
Ross from JHS.
from JHS.
Our
And
friend.
last week we had, this is what kind of triggered it, the new Halcyon Gold
Yeah.
from Origin Effects came out.
I like Origin. I don't know why they named it the same thing as the Tube Screamer. Just changed the color.
Be careful. People are going to come at you in the comments for being negative. That's the point of this episode. I said that for a reason. But what I was going to say is that so much stuff comes out and everybody gets really excited.
Yeah.
And it is because these are reputable companies doing more gear. So there's going to be a pretty good chance that they're good. When we come out with a new pedal, there's a lot of hubbub and people are excited.
Oh man.
And we really like that. And it got me to thinking, where's all the bad gear? When's the last time somebody announced something, everyone's like, there's a big wet fart? Because
I think wet farts happen. I don't think a wet fart means it's bad, but
sometimes
I think
we'll
get into it.
we'll get into that. But what I was saying is that there's that idea that
wet fart
the,
analogy.
that there's the golden age of gear that we're in. That's something I hear a lot. And I was just thinking, where is the bad gear? Is there stuff that's bad out there? And it kind of drove me down to kind of just think about this.
Right.
And think again, and maybe I'm going to make you sing it, where has all the bad gear
Where
gone?
has all the bad gone?
There
you go.
Little Paul Cole for you this morning.
We had to look that up.
You go to breaking the illusion. Everyone think I'm like the smartest music man alive.
You're pretty smart.
Okay, so first off,
Yeah.
I think that we should try to define what somebody would describe as bad gear.
Bad gear.
Karate chop. Why don't you go
Chop.
ahead and lay it out for us?
Sounds bad.
Sounds bad.
Looks bad.
Looks bad.
Plays bad.
Plays bad.
Or in certain camps, it's too expensive.
Okay, so that's sort of, I think, the categories that someone would say that gear is bad.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're not any of those things, and most of the stuff that we see, might be under the category of looks bad or is too expensive.
Who's not those things?
What do you mean?
You said hopefully you're not any of those things.
We're none of those things. No one thinks that we're none of those things.
Mythos.
Hopefully, yes.
Okay.
That it sounds bad.
I thought you were saying you hope that they are not those things. Saying that the listeners are.
I would
Our
have
bad
the
gear
list smells bad.
themselves.
If that was.
Hey, we've been to NAMM.
Yeah.
Everyone, before you go to any event, take a shower.
And that's including
Rub a
us.
little-
That's including us.
Put a little deodorant
It can
on
get
there.
it can get a little
Well, it's
rough and ready.
I think we get a pass because we're there
Why?
working.
That's true.
And sometimes you just
I
stand and
I get
stink.
so stinky.
You just
It's
stand and
It's
stink.
just nasty. Okay, so sounds bad, plays bad, looks bad, it's too expensive, right? When everybody comes out with new gear, all I see, I see so many positive comments and people so excited, and you see YouTube reviews, you see Instagram stuff, and it's all just one big, love fest. And I'm like, okay, so where's all the crap?
It gets deleted.
Oh, okay. So what? Okay. So you're a business owner.
Yeah.
You have gear that you make.
Yeah.
You send it to people. Like, let's peel back the curtain a little bit and say, like, how does that work for you? Like, what is your expectation? Are you only sending gear out to people that you know are going to like it? Or have you had instances where guys like, I can't review this because it's not my thing? Like, give us a little insight on this, and then we'll dive into the whole idea of like good gear, bad gear, and sort of how the landscape is. And I don't want to talk over you. So
well, I do think that for me, I've only ever sent stuff to people I liked, and
like friends,
and I've paid for very little demo stuff. And admittedly, we don't have that many demos out there.
Yeah, we don't.
I pay RJ when he
yes
forces me to, like, or when I force him to take
yes
the other way around, because he's usually like, and I'm like, no, like, if you're doing work, you deserve to be paid.
That's correct.
But more often than not, I'm just trying to make connections with people, and if that friendship blossoms into something more. But yeah, I'm not going to send something to someone that if I don't think it'll fit with what they're trying to do, or I don't personally connect with their way of presenting things. And that's not always necessarily a dig on a presenter's like person. It's just everyone has their own shtick, and sometimes the idea that you have to like everything and everybody is well, I like everybody, but I don't like everybody's thing, and that's okay.
And I think, to your point, I think that as a business owner, you want the pedals to reflect like how you feel they should be used and how you feel they should be sounded, right? And what you got there?
Got some Taco Bell.
Nice. And I think there's no wrong answer there when it comes to that. Like you're doing, and now that I'm here, and all we want to do is like, who could we send this to that is going to do a demo that we enjoy to watch,
right? And
that we think will do justice to the sound and the feature set of what we're trying to do. So that's probably what everybody is doing.
Oh yeah, and
right?
And I it was half joking when I said you don't see negative stuff because that gets deleted, but it's true. Like I know that I have had people get on Instagram or YouTube and just be flat out assholes, and like criticism I can take. I can totally take it. It was really hard in the beginning to say like, hey, I don't like this. Even that feels like a jab in the heart. Yeah. But people who are being flat out mean, you just delete it or you hide them.
Well, that's kind of how I want to structure today, which is, does anybody else feel the same way that I do? That it's difficult to find instances where people talk about gear that is bad, and wondering what's actually, is everything good out there? Is there bad stuff? Are we afraid to talk about stuff being bad? And sort of go down the list. So I wanted to structure this a little bit.
Okay.
On the argument, let's go with the argument that there is no bad gear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You're like, I don't know about that, Buster Brown. And then let's talk the argument. Actually, bad gear is everywhere.
Yeah.
And then let's talk a little bit in between.
Okay.
Of those two camps. So before we get into that, like, what is I want your top line answer for this. Like, like gear good, is all gear good? Is there a lot of bad gear out there? Like, what's your take on just sort of the modern gear landscape?
There's more good than bad now.
Yes.
But I think that we are coming out of the high that we were in, where everything was, it was hard to find anything bad.
Okay.
I think for a few years, everything was just going up and up and up, and you could find all sorts of stuff in any price range and go, hey, this is awesome. Yeah. And I'm totally down to play or use whatever this is.
Yeah.
But I feel like that plateaued.
Okay.
And we're coming back down off of that.
And do you have a reason why you think we're coming back down?
COVID.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because production, because the guitar world, we all know, exploded. And that put every manufacturer into a place where they had to decide how to fill these orders and make more guitars. And I think because of that, we're starting. We are seeing the repercussions of that in certain brands.
Unmetered growth.
Yes.
Unmeasured, whatever that means.
Yeah.
You know what I meant.
Unpetered growth.
Unpetered growth. I don't know. I was saying stuff.
But I do think there's more good than bad, and more so than there has.
And we'll get
been.
into, like, again, I think the most interesting part about this argument is what people mean by bad.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that. So let's just pretend here that we're going to make all the arguments for why all gear is good and see how much you agree with. This is me just riffing here.
Leave in the comments section
how much you agree with.
Okay.
Gear is as high quality as it's ever been. People know how to make gear. Yeah. It's as high quality as it's ever been. Do you agree with that? Or
yeah, I guess so, yeah.
You think consistency, manufacturing-wise?
Yeah, sure.
Good. All right. Tons of incredible brands, of guitars, amps, and pedals at every price range. You just said that.
Yes.
So I think you agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
So here's where it gets interesting. Can't survive in an online world filled with message boards and comment sections if your shit sucks. So the stuff we know about is good. Let's unpack that for a second.
Yeah.
Because I think that, to me, is my crux argument for why we don't hear about anything bad, is because actually the internet it will wade through and kicks out all the shitty stuff.
Sure.
Because it's just hard to get over if something was legitimately bad. It's not for me. I'm talking about like bad. Like someone made a shitty product. I'll try to stop saying shit.
Well, it's hard because I do think that because of all these communities that people exist in, be it Facebook, Gear Page, Instagram, whatever.
Yes.
YouTube. A lot of things that are bad or have been considered bad have definitely been pushed away and fallen by the wayside. But I do think that at the same time, those communities will still embolden things that were really good that have fallen, in my experience, and they still try to hold up these certain brands, certain models, and certain things
that have lost its luster.
That their standard has fallen.
And would you categorize that as like a quality control sort of situation, where it's like, because I think that's the interesting part about the arguments of what I'm getting at, which is that when you don't hear about stuff like that, about people talking negatively about a brand or a product, that you don't hear about it because either it's like a critical thing where people are like, well, I can get it set up myself, or I could do this, or I could do that, and that's okay. And you kind of have to get your hands on it in order to like kind of make that assessment. And so it might be that there's still a wash of goodwill until like more and more people actually get their hands on something.
Well, it's one of those things that I've always said that you have to play as much stuff as possible. The reason why people argue against Tonewood or anything, Gibson's quality control, any of these things that people will just die on hills for, is because they just haven't gone and played those things and have continued to. Because you cannot say that everything's good now better than it was if you haven't gone and actually tried anything. And to that end, you can't assume that once or because a company was doing well that they are still well. And I do think there are exceptions to that rule. I think pedals are a little bit different.
It's hard to sort of...
It's hard to mess it up.
Yes. I think that in our world, the quality, unless, if there was a pedal manufacturer that had a high, failure rate with their stuff, I think we would know about it, and I think people would talk about it, and it would be like, the dealers would stop stocking it because it would be a huge pain in the ass.
And a lot of times there are so many things that are outside our control. Even if we went to the best parts supplier or even direct to manufacturers buying components, sometimes components just are bad. And that's, just the fault of whoever was operating the machine that day, or maybe just the machine was broken or whatever. But I think you always have to frame all of this in some sort of reference of what exists right now, and not. It's the same thing with the price argument stuff.
Yes.
You still have to go and try everything as often as you can, and that's something that we enjoy doing. I love going to stores and just grabbing everything.
Fun.
because how do you know?
You don't know. And I think you're right. I think that to your argument that there could be, brands out there where the quality has fallen off, and it takes a long time for that to sort of bubble up to the surface.
I feel like we're mostly talking about guitars here.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, when you're talking about the quality angle, I think a pedal manufacturer could come out with a pedal that doesn't sound good.
Oh yeah,
but that's another
that could be a creative choice,
and that could be a creative choice. Yes, and that is why that part of it is so difficult to assign bad, and that's why I find this topic really interesting.
Right,
to think about it in a way of like when it was 40 or 50 years ago, and you were going to buy stuff, was there stuff that was like, oh, you didn't buy that because that wasn't good,
right?
And then that might be because Josh Scott talks about it. Everybody's favorite new pedal that is thousands of dollars on Reverb,
right?
Because it does something kind of cool and funky and different, and so that part of the argument is really difficult. So yeah, if you want to say we're really talking about guitars, and we're talking about build quality, and we're talking about like tone wood choices and pickups, and this, we could, you could. I like to try to cover everything, but it's probably probably guitars.
It's really just guitars because I think amps have gotten so much better. Pedals are obviously better, and the cheaper they are, I don't know. Anyway,
so that was my last point. Decades of people figuring this out. I think you just brought it up without even me saying it, which is that pedals and amps have gotten really good because I think people just know how to make them.
Yeah.
Know how to make them consistently, know how to make them hold up. You're not talking about like, well, that one sounds really good, but it's going to fall apart on you. It's like people are really good at that. So where guitars is where that part of it gets really interesting.
Right. Yeah, and I think that was the thing all through the pandemic where we saw this influx of orders and people were just trying to keep up and they were letting things out if it was good enough. And I have examples of stuff that we got that up until a few years ago people would fight you tooth and nail to say, no, those are good. All of them are good.
Yeah.
And we got some that
not good.
were just not good.
And it's the interesting part about this, and I think this is coming up on our next like part of our argument, which is that like who are the people out there that can talk honestly about that,
right?
Because and that's where we'll say, okay, let's jump to the next topic. So I can try to keep a little organized, except my brain's just firing all over the place because I have so much to say.
It's like there's pop rocks in there.
Bad gear is actually everywhere argument, and I think that's where it comes down to the medium that we find ourselves in.
Yes,
which is that who are going to be the people, because most YouTubers and Instagram people have been sent the gear by the manufacturer. So if they want to keep a good relationship with them, they're going to talk about it in the most the kindest term possible, which is what are the applications that make this piece of gear worthwhile.
Sure.
And then you've got people that are sent gear by like Sweetwater. So it's it's not only manufacturer but also someone that's selling the gear.
Right.
So they want to sell the gear at their store. So who's out there? Who are the truth tellers? And not truth tellers in the sense that are like that's their shtick is to get hate clicks, but are like just reviewing gear and could say whatever they want, because that's where I think we would find, and I think that's what we're missing here is somebody that would take a pedal, even one of ours, and would say, because we send anything to RJ, it's going to sound good.
Right.
And he's our friend, and he's going to make a really good video and make it sound really good. But maybe there's something about a pedal that we make that sucks.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. Nice. So that's where it gets interesting. Who are the people out there? Who are the YouTubers? Who are the writers? Who's out there that are you could go like I trust this person that's going to give me an honest review.
Oddly enough, I think Andertons is probably the most
really
harsh critic. I remember when
even the stuff that they're stocking. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even in the height of me, because Andertons for a moment was the biggest Mythos dealer for a long time, due to the relationship with Rob and with Lee and everything, and they did so well, and I sent him the Positron Collider way back when.
Yeah.
And Rob liked it, but Lee did not like it. And he just said, I don't get it. I don't like it. I don't like it. And it really hurt. But at the same time, it's like, he's just being honest, and I appreciate that. But once when they got the original cab clone from Mesa Boogie, they bashed it hard, but they were using it incorrectly, and Mesa, subsequently sorted it all out. And I think they did it again, but they tore it to shreds and posted that on YouTube, and it was an inventory item on their website.
I mean, that's pretty baller.
Yeah,
right?
but
even though they were using it incorrectly. So,
but Rhett, he's honest because he does when he's doing gear stuff that is not, and he would say this. We talked about it on Deep to Tone. Mm-hmm. If it's not sponsored by someone like Sweetwater or something, more often than not, he just gets sent things and he says, look, you don't pay me for anything and there's no pressure for me to use it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have it. And if it fits in something, I'll use it and I'll be honest about it. And you have to accept that.
Yeah.
And most people go, sure. Of course, some brands, and this is across the whole spectrum of YouTuber and influence, will say, these are your talking points. These are the things you have to say. Here's what you cannot say. But I know Rhett, love him or hate him, he says, I'm going to be honest about this stuff. Yeah. And admittedly, the things he does with Sweetwater are not, it's like the tears of a Telecaster.
Yeah, and I had a problem. And
he tore the PRS thing apart.
And I had a problem with his PRS reviews,
right?
Which we could get into.
But at least he was being honest. He was honest with
how he felt about it.
Perspective.
And I think the interesting part about that is, and let me run down some of my points here about bad gears, actually, to kind of coalesce our thoughts here, because people tune in to watch me read something off a piece of paper.
Ooh.
All reviews are positive because influencers and YouTube culture don't like to say anything bad.
Yes.
They won't review things they don't like. Consumers need to flip their gear at some point, so they don't want to talk. So we're part of the problem.
We're
too,
guilty,
right? Commenters get angry at any sense of negativity from reviewers. Mm-hmm. Let people play what they like, and I think truly. And then back in the day, we'll talk about magazine reviews in a second, but that's the point I want to kind of hit on here. Is the commenters get angry? I think that we have both sides to this, right? You'll have people that'll say, you guys are all paid shills to love this stuff.
Right.
But then if you do say something critical, people will get on your ass fast.
Yeah.
And people don't like that. They're like, let people play what they like. Why do you have to say anything negative about this? So we go, it's not to both sides, everybody, but I do think that if you introduce any sort of criticism at all, you're going to get that blowback.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it's inevitable if you express any personal thought. and at that point, like, why is anyone watching this stuff anyway? If you're just trying to reaffirm your own biases, or trying not to have buyers.
And I tried not to do that with Rhett because I got miffed at his PRS review.
Miffed.
And part of the reason I got miffed, and I'll tell him myself, and I've said this, is that I felt like that, the way I understand the line is a little, I have intimate knowledge of what PRS is trying to do. Very intimate knowledge. What's up? I see you got a 10 top there. And so when I see somebody talking about it and it's clear that they're not 100% sure how it all works, I don't want to immediately go, well, their opinion's completely. But part of the problem in this case was that it had more to do with price. And it had more to do with, other factors. And we weren't talking about necessarily whether the gear was good or not, because I don't think Rhett would have said any of those guitars were bad guitars.
No.
And so that's where it gets interesting. To me, is that, what's out there? Is there, and if is Rhett going to do a review if someone sends him a guitar and it's bad?
No.
He's not going to do it.
No. Because why would he do that? Unless it was so egregious. So interestingly bad. The one thing that we enjoy are the people that do review the cheapest guitar on Amazon, like those kind of things.
They ain't hurting nobody.
I know.
That's part of the problem.
That's fun. But
it is fun. But I want to know what the people think out there. I want to see the comments just lighting up the YouTube board about, do you guys want that? Do people missing that? Do they want somebody like an honest reviewer that's not doing it for hate clicks, that's not doing it to just be a bitch? It's just like and that's where I start getting a little bit into the idea that I think most gear is actually pretty good, because I'm like, I think that would be a big lucrative thing to have on the internet if there was truly a lot of stuff that you could roast, but that you could be that you were legitimate about, that didn't come off as you being like a smug asshole who's just talking shit for clicks.
I think the thought of that is good, but in if you were trying to actualize that,
Yes.
it would be so hard to monetize it because who's going to pay you?
You have to get all the gear yourself. Or somebody has to send it to you.
So much money.
Yeah.
So you would have to solely rely on ad revenue, which is is good, but it's not.
Well,
you make way more working at McDonald's a year than you do just off like 1 million view video.
So it would not behoove you at all to be there. There's no business model of being.
The idea of saying, "Hey, so and so, will you send me this for review?" and they look you up and go, "No, but we'll sell it to you." You know.
Yes, and this is not a new problem. I was going to bring this up earlier, but back in the day, if the only place that you had to read about gear reviews was magazines, they're all going to be pretty nice because they want the ad revenue from the companies.
Yeah. I mean, that I've seen, they will tick stuff for being, maybe too expensive for what
that's usually
that's
usually always what it is.
Or if features are cumbersome or
maybe it's a little heavy, the guitar's heavy
weight,
or something like that.
Amps too. There's so many things you could complain about amps, as far as just the
I don't
weight
know.
And stuff.
My point being that I don't necessarily think that the YouTuber culture is causing some sort of new issue. I think it's just so prevalent because you'd read a couple reviews and it would be way later when the reviews actually would come out in. You read Guitar World or Premier Guitar or Guitarist Magazine or something like that. And now we're inundated with stuff immediately. Yeah. But they're not reviews. They're
demonstrations.
They're sound clips. They're demos.
Yeah. And there's a difference. And I think that
there is a difference.
I think a lot of people will misconstrue a video example as a review.
Mm-hmm.
And guys like Pete Thorne, he does a really good job explaining why he likes something.
Yeah.
But to that end, when has he ever reviewed something that he doesn't like? He doesn't do that because why would he invest all that time and energy making songs, like really well thought out, structured musical arrangements for a piece of gear that he thinks is shitty? Like he just
you couldn't do it because you wouldn't be inspired to write anything. No, you would just be like, this is not for me.
You just do what I do and use backing tracks and
Oh man,
no, and I've been getting some heat. I've been bringing a little fire.
I've been enjoying it. I'm always sitting in my office and I hear like, man, that groove, that's hitting. It's really nice. It's an enjoyable work environment for me. So let's skip to the end here.
Oh,
the in between argument. Okay, so it's in our world now. You usually have to go extreme on one side or the other.
Well, I think that's the whole world right now, right?
That's how that works in everybody's world. Let's talk about the in between. Good gear, bad gear. There's lots of everything in between.
Yeah.
All the spectrum. No matter what anything sounds like, somebody will like it.
Probably.
More than likely.
Unless it's the Miles Kennedy signature pair.
No,
I'm kidding.
I bet you that thing sounds good.
No, I'm sure it sounds right. I'm kidding. No,
wow.
But I feel like that was the last guitar that I remember in recent memory, or last thing that people were like, ugh.
Wolf City, USA.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that because that's on the sheet. Stop jumping over my.
I didn't mean to.
My
Everything's
bits here.
bold. I can't read it.
I know. All right. People have no problem saying they don't like the way things look or if they think they're overpriced. So people will do that, right? Mm-hmm. Like when we're talking about trying to figure out where all the bad gear has gone. Plenty of people will tell you, well, there's lots of bad gear. That looks like shit. That looks bad. That's overpriced. But, I think conceptually, I don't necessarily think that means it's bad. It's just a personal preference.
Yeah, I don't think, if you think something, if you think something's ugly, no, if you think something is ugly,
yes,
it doesn't make it bad. It just makes it unattractive to you.
Yes.
And
that's why I wanted to include it on whether or not that counts as bad gear to people.
Yeah.
If they're like, I can't.
Yeah, being uninterested is not the same thing.
Yeah, you're not. It's not. Because you could be the most beautiful guitar in the world, and you get it, and it plays like poo.
Yeah,
and that can happen.
That totally happens.
And we've all had it happen.
Day.
Oh, it happens all the time. And then people have criticized Gibson and Fender build quality all the time.
Yeah,
that's been a constant, and I don't think people worry about that as much because it's punching up. They're the biggest guys. Who they Cesar going to come after you.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like,
but
with the smaller brands, it's like it's personal relationships. It's a small industry. If there's any issue, you're usually going to reach out to the person and they'll probably fix it. It's an accident or something, it's different. I've been in small, manufacturing for a long time now, and the quality and detail is usually unmatched.
Yeah.
When it's, and things can happen, accidents happen. We've had to replace a knob here and there. Mm-hmm. It happens. But, for the big guys, they're on a different agenda.
Yeah.
And so it's a whole different ballgame with them, and I think people can come out and say, I mean, I remember seeing, with the American Vintage reissues that they just did, the right. twos, there was a lot of criticism of those guys when they came out.
Yep.
There was build quality issues, and they didn't get a lot of details right on some stuff, and there was a lot of
setup issues.
There's a lot of people that were disappointed. So that's a good argument that people are willing to go there. Maybe none of the reviewers did. I don't remember like the official, they sent me a guitar and I reviewed it, but there were some people that got them and then they posted about it.
I know that there were a few people that like really got up in arms over the American Vintage stuff, and I'd kind of forgotten about that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because it doesn't seem to make sense to me why a company would go through great lengths to tool up and make these models and then release them into the world not set up, or furthermore send them to people for review and not go, we should probably check the truss rod on this or something.
Yeah, let's make sure that this one's tight.
I feel like that's very strange and something that definitely happened. And the whole argument against like Gibson, I think Gibson has really got out of that. They'll never outgrow that reputation.
No, I don't think so.
But I don't think it's true anymore. And I think a lot of the people that wage complaints against Gibson are just existing. And I think a lot of the internet is, because it's easy to do this. We're existing in this bubble that we all got when we got into this stuff like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the baseline for everything. And even then, like those like Gibson guitars, they weren't that bad, Yeah. You can't judge stuff by how it was hanging on the wall at Guitar Center. But can I say what gear disappointed me?
Oh, absolutely.
Can we get into that?
We could totally talk about that.
So I was trying to do a video course about upgrading guitars.
I remember that.
And it never saw the light of day.
We might put the outtakes on Patreon one day.
Yeah. Should we have a Patreon? Comment below. But I ordered some guitars from Squier. And this was 21?
It was last summer.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
It was last summer.
2022?
Yeah.
And man, they just sucked.
Woof.
They sucked so bad.
And you were trying to do a course on, buying an inexpensive guitar that could be upgraded.
Yeah.
By using some traditional sort of methods and the guitars were kind of in such rough shape, it was like not worth it.
They were just ass. And then we ended up buying another one for one of Jeff's bandmates. Mm-hmm. And even it was just bad. And that's so strange because I have had classic vibes because that's what I got. I got a classic vibe. And they were good. And I feel like when they first came out for a couple years, that was like the hottest.
Good value.
Yeah. If you needed a Telecaster, the first thing everyone said was classic vibe. And now I feel like people still say that. But having played the ones I got and then other ones
Was that what you were referring to earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were just so bad. The neck pocket on the Tele was not cut correctly. The pickups just sounded wimpy. It's just, and I know this is growing pains and things happen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was so utterly disappointing to get a guitar that, in the back of my mind, and I think in the back of a lot of people's minds, everyone thinks, "Oh, that's a great guitar. You're going to be happy with that."
Yeah.
Whereas I should have just got, a Pacifica or something from Yamaha, because Yamaha actually really does good QC. And to that end, I think Epiphone too. Their quality control on their guitars that I've played in the past couple of years have been phenomenal, and those guitars are really good.
Did you think that was like it's been consistent enough with what you've seen
with Squiers
recently that you would have to say that you wouldn't recommend them?
I wouldn't. For the past couple of years, every lower end Fender and Squier that I've played, I've just gone, nope. I'm not gonna bother.
It's interesting, yeah, because I think that there's. I've always been sort of out on the idea of getting something that's a little more inexpensive and then upgrading it. mostly because I'm super lazy and I would rather have a guitar that's finished.
Right.
And I'm not, but for someone that's interested in like modding and doing all that stuff, I see why that would be appealing to people, and people out there that could like want to be able to afford something that they need. That's going to be, they need something for work. They need an instrument like that. And so it's interesting.
It's definitely, there's so many ways to go about it, but I do think that's why I think we kind of plateaued.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that all inexpensive guitars are like this, but I do feel like with the bigger guys, they, like some stuff is just okay. Yeah. And that's okay. I think that maybe that's a better thing to say, that there's not as much bad gear.
But there's a lot of okay gear.
The mediocre gear is everywhere. Yeah. And that's not necessarily a dig, and that's not a bad thing. Like I like upgrading guitars and changing pickups and pots and stuff. I think that's really fun. But sometimes that can only get you so far. And at the end of the day, you just have to play something that actually inspires you by itself. Yeah,
well, I think it's a noble pursuit. But if I think about like how much the guitar costs, how much time and effort it's going to be to upgrade it, and then how much money am I going to save versus buying like the good counterpart? Yeah. It's like if you're not into the upgrading part, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, I think it's all about.
That's my take on it.
It's all about the journey you're willing to go on.
Yeah,
but I mean, for the most part, I agree. There's no reason, in my mind, to buy a Squier Telecaster and put a $50 bridge on it, $150, $200 set of pickups in it, $70 set of tuners. Just buy a Mexican or whatever they are now. It's like a standard
Ventera,
or the one right below that, Professional. I don't know what they.
I can't keep up.
The whatever the entry level Fender is going to be a lot better, but even then, part of it is just people like making things theirs. But you'll never, unless the guitar is just an anomaly.
Yeah.
You'll never get it beyond what it is, which is...
You're never going to get it over a certain hump.
Yeah.
But is that bad gear?
Not necessarily. Yeah. But maybe I through talking for the past 40 minutes, I've realized that it's not that I think there's more bad gear or that bad gear has come back into...
Yeah, like after spewing all this nonsense for 40 minutes, like where do you see yourself kind of falling on this topic?
I think that the generic gear, the mediocre gear, is more prevalent now. Not prevalent, but is taking the place of the bad. The stuff that was bad for the most part.
Yes.
Entry-level pedals, entry-level guitars, entry-level amps have now become okay.
Pretty good.
Yeah, like passable.
Yeah.
Much better than what you and I had when we started playing guitar.
Yes.
So far ahead of what our parents had.
Well, I think that was sort of my take on it when I thought about it. Is I do believe that the amount of high quality gear out there is so high.
Yeah.
Just stuff that it's amazing because the know-how from y'all, guys like yourself who can put something like Mythos pedals together. I got this abomination of a drink here.
That's the worst drink.
Bubbly is not going to be sponsoring our podcast any soon. Can I see that? Look at this. Is it going to do the thing? How do I do this? Oh, there it is. This is not good. This is not good, folks. But I'm going to drink it.
What is it? Lemon.
It's lemon sorbet bubbly. But I think that like my sort of personal take on this is the amount of gear out there that is great.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much of it that. Wait. There's so much of it. That's high quality, right? High quality pedal builders, high quality amp builders, the high quality guitar builders that it sort of overshadows that there's a lot of mediocre stuff out there. And I think that just like the episode that we did a couple weeks back about the Instagram bubble, most of what we see all day is high end gear. Yeah. And so we're in this world where it just seems like everything's crazy good and everyone likes everything. So I think I find myself in that world so much that I don't go to Guitar Center that much anymore, and
Why
I see
not?
a lot of stuff. Well, we
So much fun.
we go. So, I mean, I've been with you more than I have been in 20 years.
Yeah.
Shout out to my Oxnard homies back in the day, which I'd hit Guitar Center in Oxnard. But I think that like you go there and you know the best pedal there is is like Digitech.
A Guitar Center?
That was 20 years ago.
Oh, 20 years ago.
You know,
yeah.
and that's you know Bad Monkeys and all that jazz. But yes, Bad Monkeys. But what I was gonna say, but I think that there's just that we're top heavy in that way because we're in our bubble and we're seeing things that we're really into, and we're seeing all the boutique manufacturers and the big guys and custom shop this and all that, and it's all really neat stuff. And you're like, oh, I want this and I want that, and it's cool. And then I kind of like there's like all this stuff underneath that I'm not really thinking about that much.
I'm gonna say something.
What?
I don't think that the majority of stuff that people think is great
is that good.
Now
we're getting somewhere. Now, or they took. Like, I hope people are still watching this. Now we're getting somewhere.
Probably not.
Zach Broyles telling it like it is.
Well, I mean,
and what do you mean by that? You mean
just because something is made by a small company or even a solitary builder does not make it good, or does not mean that they have the ability to make an instrument that is compelling to play, beautiful to look at, or even sounds good. And this is not, I'm not naming names, I'm not pointing fingers, but
as soon as we're off the air, though, man, I'm getting it out of
you. The idea that, oh, it's expensive, and look at this little company, it's cool.
We did that episode. We absolutely know.
Doesn't mean it's good.
That does not mean that it's good. But I think that, I think that there's like, I think that if you look, I'm doing it in a comparative.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yes.
Why isn't your phone turned off?
I don't know. Has it just been sitting open the whole time? Maybe it's because I keep getting
me out.
I keep getting messages. Ooh, my dad texts me. Did you see the Ross pedals? Come on, Dad.
We saw him last night when Sweetwater leaked them.
You told me about them weeks ago.
Oh shit! I didn't know what they looked like.
I know you didn't know, but I'm Pops. I know everything. I have internet brain. I see everything.
Don't
immediately.
reply to him and let this be his.
Yes, I'm not going to reply. I'm just going to ignore it. Okay, so my point is that like if I'm walking into a regular guitar store 20 years ago, and you know the stuff that I see on the shelf now versus then, I just think there's the top tier. There's more stuff. Even if you don't think it's like this stuff is amazing, right? If you're going to a store and they've got PRS and they've got like Sir, and they've got, you know, like, you know, I mean,
that
like,
was all there 20 years ago.
Well, it was just starting to get like, you know, 25 years ago.
Oh, I was like, that's only 2003.
2003. You know what I mean, though? Like, I think that's
but,
like,
you know, but here's a thought. 20 years ago was an American Standard or whatever. I think it was American Standard. Was that
a good guitar?
Was that any better or worse than the current American Professional?
I have no idea because I didn't have one. I had excuse me. I bought a Mexican Strat in 2000. I had that one.
I'm just curious that now I'm thinking, you know,
is it a better guitar?
Like we haven't. Everyone talks about it. Everything's like so good now, but like,
were the guitars good then?
Weren't they? Were they bad? Like,
were
Gibson Les Paul standards bad?
I just think there's more of them. If you want a Les Paul style guitar,
this is way more confusing now
because there's just so many of them. Like you could buy a Collings, or you could buy a PRS, or you could buy a Heritage, or you could buy some of that stuff existed. I just feel like there's more of it now.
It's more in our face because of these things.
Yeah,
and you know about it.
Yeah,
you know, if you had never seen.
I mean, I knew about a lot of that stuff because like I knew about, you know, McNaught guitars and McInturf guitars and Don Grosh and who else? You know, all those guys. Anderson, because I was on the gear page as a young impressionable child who should not have seen all of that. This is bad news over there.
20 years ago, it's not.
It's bad news.
You're not a child.
It's bad news over there. This has set me on some dark past. The point is that I just I think that there's a lot of really good gear out there. That's all. I think there's just more. I think there's more.
I definitely
think there's an appetite for it. There isn't like the only thing that you can get and the best guitar that you can get is, you know, a custom shop Les Paul or a custom shop, you know, Fender Strat, right? There's a lot more than that. And you're saying I don't think that the stuff isn't necessarily better than those guitars? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And my argument isn't necessarily that they're better. I just think that like the top tier is bigger.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's definitely a bigger.
Before.
There's more options.
And yes, that is because of our bubble and all the stuff that we see every day.
You know, it is a Collings i35 LC that much better than a Gibson Custom 335 reissue?
I mean, what's the price difference? $2,000?
No, a Collings is going to be like 8,000. And
I thought the custom shop 335s were like 6.
No, they're like 46 or something like
really?
that. Or maybe they're 5. I mean, a Murphy Lab, sure.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking Murphy Lab, yeah.
But like the Murphy Lab in a normal custom shop, the only thing that's different is the finish. Yeah. So
now you're talking about something else. You're talking about like people's perceived value of the guitars.
Well, it's an interesting thing, and this is a whole nother episode.
Off the rails completely.
That's okay. It's the end. No one's listening. But it's an interesting idea that we have all these, boutique brands are supposedly so good and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that they're bad, but I would be curious to actually sit and spend the time comparing Collings to Gibson or Suhr to Fender or I don't even think PRS really has a comparison. Like what's another guitar that's, I mean, you could compare like a 594 to a Gibson Custom or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I think there are a few outliers that make some of the best stuff. Period. Mythos being one of them. But
push that pedals.
But yeah, so I've turned around and I don't think there's that much bad stuff, but there's a lot more mediocre stuff.
Yes, and maybe that's what we're missing too, is just the ability.
And mediocre's okay.
The ability to say, like, but I think there's enough people out there that are saying like,
average.
"Hey, this is fine. Average. Somebody's gonna really like this. It's not for me."
Yeah,
that's the classic line. Yeah. So where is all the bad gear gone? It's still there.
It's still there. It's never left.
It's just okay.
It's just there's more. There is more better gear.
More better gear.
Yeah,
we've solved nothing. I hope you enjoyed it.
There we go.
What else we got?
What are you buying? What are you selling?
I bought a pedal today on the internet.
You did. I forced him.
You forced me to buy it. So it's that 10 years pedal that somebody makes.
Why is it called that?
It's because it's based on the PV Decade.
Oh, the Decade. I get it now.
Yeah. PV Decade,
that's 10 years,
which my boy Josh from Queens of the Stone Age said a couple years ago that he used on a lot of Queen stuff.
You know his name is actually pronounced Yash?
It's Yash Hummy. Yes, it's Yash. So he said that a couple years ago, and then I believe Miss Annie Clark is the one that wanted this built for her so she could have that sound on her pedal board. And they release some occasionally, and I've never even seen it because I thought I was a pedal guy, but apparently I'm not.
Oh, there's so many.
And I follow a guy who runs a Josh Homme Instagram account, kind of like cataloging all his gear, like in the past and the tours. You know these guys.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I'm gonna follow this because I'm hyped about the album cycle. I'm going to see him this weekend and all that.
This weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Fun.
Yeah, and he has the pedal on his board. Dang. And I was like,
you're gonna play just like him.
I mean, it's about time, and that's the goal, right? Now, I mean, I obviously always enjoy his tone, and the sound clips were fun. They have a very goofy internet presence. This brand, the videos are goofy, and I thought it was fun. And I wasn't going to do it, and you said just get it because you're a good friend.
Why not?
Yeah,
and I'm selling everything.
You are selling everything.
I have I posted on Instagram.
So hot.
It's hot in here.
So sweaty.
I posted on Instagram, hey, I'm selling a bunch of personal stuff. Send me a message for a photo and a list because I like to curate that stuff. I don't want to post it all everywhere on the internet. So yeah, I've already sold a few things, and I may sell the Paul's guitar. It's over there.
Tony the Tiger. It's a beautiful guitar.
It's an amazing guitar. I just have so
good gear
much stuff. Huh?
It's good gear.
It's good gear. It's great gear. I just have so much stuff, and I like. If somebody said, hey, you can go pick out if you got rid of that and you had to get another guitar,
what would you get?
Well, I had to get another PRS. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go get that one.
Yeah,
I would get a special semi-hollow,
which is what I have.
Yeah, or a single cut 504, which I don't need because I have so many Les Pauls.
But that's your platform. You like that guitar.
I know. snakes and sparklers.
I am going to finally, I've been selling some stuff, and I think I'm going to finally get a bunch of stuff up.
Yeah.
Maybe on Reverb. Maybe I'll do the same thing that you did. I got a lot of pedals over the last 25 years, and I've never sold anything.
It's fun.
So
it's fun doing it that way, and avoiding reverb fees is nice. No offense.
No offense.
And I'm gonna sell my Firebird. If I can't sell it through Carter, we're gonna take it to Chicago and do something with it there.
Oh yeah, and you'll get to meet us in Chicago. Or at Spicers. You're going to be at Spicers.
I'll be at Spicers this weekend. So.
Spicers in Auburn.
Auburn, Alabama.
Don't wear your Alabama Crimson Tide gear. Because they don't like them in Auburn.
Oh, okay.
They're rivals.
Like, there's too many schools in one state for me to follow.
People really like their college football.
I know.
They really do.
It's good for them. But, yeah, and then...
Spicers this weekend.
Spicers.
And then CME, which we will be both at.
Yes.
So if you're around the Chicagoland area... You can come meet us.
Come
lots
play
of cool
our
people.
wares.
Yeah,
we're
lots
bringing
of cool
a special pedal that no one's ever seen before.
No
one was ever seen what this looks like before.
We're going to bring
it.
Yeah.
No one's ever seen a Mythos pedal that looks like this before.
Ooh.
But then our big tease is...
We'll just say it. For all you dedicated listeners of the pod and watchers of the Pedal Pushers... We're going to launch our next pedal on September 1st. And what pedal is that?
Figure it out, stupid.
Wow. Jeez. Man, I think we're done. Why don't you start calling?
You know what it is.
You know what it is.
If you've been paying attention, you know what it is.
They know what it is.
I think figure it out, stupid is one of my favorite phrases.
He says, whenever I ask him a question, like, hey, can you help me get logged into PayPal? He just says, figure it out, stupid. And I'm like, okay.
I do not.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, maybe I do. I don't know.
It's the tone of your voice.
Yeah, well, that's probably it.
All
right. Well.
All right.
Bye.
We solved nothing. Bye.